My name is Memo, Dalkilic. I am in computer science, but I wanted to throw a shout out to Mike Dunn and Ed Robertson. We were reflecting on the 18 years ago when we were at Memorial Hall on the 5th floor with a crazy idea that there might be a place for employing computer science to just about everything. And now we have a new building and all these diverse people, so many people I don't even know most of you, which is pretty remarkable. This is another unusual presentation. I know you have PowerPoint fatigue, so I only have four or five slides. This came out of, interestingly, the class I teach in data mining. We had a fellow who found out about it who wasn't in computer science, but was working at IU Bus as a undergrad student. He's in graduate school in material sciences right now. And he came to us and said, we have a lot of data and we don't know what to do with it, but we'd like to improve what we're doing. So the idea was, first of all, just to make sense of the data. So IU has a contract with some former IU students where they put sensors in the buses that emit a signal about every 2 seconds. There's drums around campus. And the idea was that if we had this data, we could somehow improve bus scheduling. But the challenge was each bus per semester generates about 2 gigabytes of data, and they were using Access to try to make sense of that data. And further, there was a bit of noise. One of the things we do at IU for some reason is service the buses in Florida. So sometimes the transponders would not be turned off and should be turned back on. And we discovered that some of the buses were running at the speed of light. So it took about 9 months to put this into a form where we could do some analysis. So there's a fair amount of data engineering just to get it sensible. But to give you some idea, here's some of the numbers of IU. We have about 300,000 people running per month. You'll be surprised that most of the literature that's existed in the last 40 or 50 years has to do with labor or finding the optimal path in a bus schedule. So finding how to improve an existing schedule, really we were sort of on our own. At this time, we're starting to be able to count the number of passengers, but when we began the project, they only had 2 sample points when the passengers loaded on the bus initially and when they exited, and that was measured by the bus driver clicking a counter. So you can imagine the distribution on that. So some of the buses held 250 people, some of the buses held 1 person. So we had a lot of working through noisy data. I'm just showing a kind of optimization that they hadn't really thought of in terms of measuring objectively success. One of the things was just satisfaction of the riders, but what we found would be most easily reduced was the operating cost, and in terms of fuel, that's what we did. So one of the things we began doing was looking at data external to the bus. The bus data, I'm almost running out of time, so I have to do this quickly. The bus data is kind of like the stock market in terms of efficiency. So they thought if you would just look at the bus data, you could predict bus data. But as it turns out, if you look at the environment, for instance, this is class density exiting, you find that you can start predicting where the distribution of buses should be. So what we ended up doing is we ended up adding a ghost bus. 1 ghost bus, and the first semester we saved 10% fuel. Very simple thing, and we actually won an award, believe it or not, for sustainability because we're saving our carbon footprint small. So what I wanted to show is the strength of data science and what you can do if you bring in a lot of people with this information. I want to thank everyone, but Martina, David, and by the way, Amr for helping us pursue this project. So thanks so much.